10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
So, as I mentioned last week, we don't really do Halloween here in Australia. You see a few kids dressing up and stuff and trick-or-treating these days, but when I was little, we certainly never trick-or-treated or not dressed up, well, not on Halloween anyway. And so that's why, in case you were looking at me thinking, why is she coming from the top of her pumpkin? The answer is because I have no idea how to do this thing. It wasn't until I watched Lucian and Amy's video, which I did in between the intro and now, that I realised, oh, you start with the bottom of the pumpkin. So I guess I'll continue doing that now. But yeah, I mean, I've never even seen a real carved pumpkin. So one of the first differences between, and I cheated, I got my partner to cut that out, sorry. One of the first differences between Australian and American culture that I've noticed is when it comes to words, some of your words don't mean the same thing as some of our words. For example, this. This to Australians is a ute, but I know you guys call this a pickup or a truck, whereas to us, a truck looks a little more like this, and a pickup looks a little more like this.
Hey, babe.
Hey! There are other words too. I mean, for example, I find right now that when I'm carving a pumpkin, I really like to wear a thong. Nothing else on top of the thong, just thong and thong alone. Because for Australians, a thong is not something that looks like it's made of lace and is all stringy and stuff. For Aussies, thongs are these. I believe you may know them also as flip-flops. There are other items of clothing as well that we do not have in common. For example, Australians, any particular top that we wear that doesn't have sleeves, we refer to as a singlet. So basically, if there's no capped sleeves and it just comes down like here, we call it a singlet. It can be an undergarment, it can be something that you're wearing out, it can be something that you wear to the beach. The sleeves can be thick, they can be fat. Whereas I believe you guys refer to those sort of tops as a tank. Whereas for us, this is a tank. In fact, in Australia, the only time a singlet isn't actually referred to as a singlet is if it's sort of a navy blue in colour and it has a kind of like ribbed texture like this one does here. And then the singlet is called a wife beater. Don't ask. It's not just the language differences that set us apart. We also have some words that are spelt differently. For example, you guys, when you spell the word mum, U-R-M-O-M. So I guess to us it sounds like mom. Whereas Aussies and the Brits, we spell mum M-U-M, mum. And I hate to say it, guys, but I think we've really got it right there, because I don't know about you, but if you've ever yelled at a parent, the maximum annoyance factor certainly wouldn't come with mom, mom. I'm telling you now, it's going to come with mom, mom. I know which one I'm rushing to sooner. Another language difference that we have is, as Australians, we really like to shorten things. It's not breakfast, it's brekkie. If you're talking about the afternoon, it's not the afternoon, it's the arvo. And it extends as well to society. For example, if you can shorten somebody's name by adding an O or adding an A sound to it, then you get extra points in the game of life. So for example, someone called Mitchell isn't Mitchell, it's Mitcho. And if you can add a ZZA instead of an O, you actually get extra points. So for example, instead of Warwick, you have Wazza. Instead of Sharon, you have Shazza. Instead of Lauren, you have Loza, which, trust me, I am less than a fan of. Another thing that us Aussies have that you Americans do not is the break called smoko. Now, smoko is a break where you can stop your work and you can have a cigarette break. However, smoko doesn't just have to be taken by smokers. Smoko can also be taken by people who just happen to like eating morning tea, or who like to just sit around and wolf whistle at ladies in skirts as they walk by. Generally, smoko is taken by people who work on building sites, but occasionally in the office job, you get the old smoko promoter as well. Now, the people who use terms such as smoko and who do the nicknames with the O and the ZZA, they are referred to as bogans. So a bogan is someone who's generally a bit uncouth, a bit behind in the times, tends to wear clothes that are inappropriate for the occasion, the kind of guy who wears like board shorts to a wedding. And you can usually spot them because they have a tattoo of the Southern Cross, either on their shoulder or their back. Now, the Southern Cross, for those of you who are unaware, as well as being a constellation in the sky, is also on the Australian flag, like so. Another way you can spot a bogan is they do like to wear our local flag as a cape, particularly on Australia Day, because they believe it makes them much more attractive to the ladies. And so there you have it. This is my quick summary of some of the main differences between Australian and American language and culture. If I've left anything out, don't hesitate to comment below, and I hope you find my decorated pumpkin kind of okay.